Welcome back to Project Independence in You on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org, Community Talk Radio. We just had a great experience with our last guest who was talking to us. She's the CEO and founder of Drums Alive, and she was our first international guest. So it was just so much fun. I'm sure Kristina will have her back again on the show. We learned so much, and we're just, grateful that we were able to connect with somebody internationally, because we've taken Project Independence in You internationally. So that's really exciting. And our next guest today, joining us during Talk of the Town, is our very own Councilwoman Veronica Lurvey. And Veronica is from District 4 in the Town of North Hempstead. And we're so happy to have you here, Veronica. I see you everywhere in the town. If I don't see you in person, it's a show, it's in a press release, it's in the newspaper. You are always somewhere in the Town of North Hempstead. So do you have a body double, or is it you're just place to place?
I just have a really, really good assistant in Romina Tirani who makes sure that I am on time and ready to go. Right? That's what succeeding in life is really all about. Having the people around you that make you look good. I was so impressed by that last speaker. And if I had known that she was going to be on, I knew she was going to be on, but I didn't know from Germany. I would have invited my parents who live in the Czech Republic, and right, because it's 5 o'clock there. So why not?
That's right. We could have a whole like international show.
I think that would be fantastic. And you know what? They can let their friends know, and they can let their friends know. And soon, Kristina, you're going to have a whole following.
That's right. There we go.
Have your own following in Lithuania. And
I love
Rebecca,
it.
You can have we can have followings all around the world.
That's right.
I think Dan Cox, the director of 88.1 FM and WCWP.org, is shaking right now.
Dan, definitely, Dan.
One of the questions I had for you ties right in with the Czech Republic part of it, and that is, where did you grow up, and what was your childhood? Where were you?
Okay, yeah. So I was born in New York City. Spent the first few years of my life in Astoria, Queens, where there's a large Czech community. My parents were immigrants from the Czech Republic, and they found a great community in Astoria. There's still actually a beer garden and a cultural center there, which is where I got married too long ago. I won't even tell you when. But then we moved to Glen Cove. So I really grew up in Glen Cove. And it was a wonderful place to live. We spent all of our time that we were not in school outside playing stickball and riding bikes and, doing things that kids in the suburbs do. So
you played stickball?
I did play stickball. I was a little bit of a tomboy. Yesterday, I actually joined the supervisor to give certificates of accomplishment to the St. Mary's basketball team. They won a very large Catholic school. What's it called? Whatever.
The championship
tournament, right?
Right.
And I was telling them that I also played basketball. So I was into all the different, but I didn't play on the same league that they do. The St. Mary's team is pretty impressive.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I grew up in the world where I played every game. It was a different world back then. But stickball, punch ball, all these different games we played.
Curb ball.
Curb
ball.
Yeah, you hit the ball off the curb.
Yep.
And hopefully hit the point.
Yes, definitely. Otto, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Woodhaven in Queens.
Okay.
And back then, there was no television, and there used to be a big baseball field back there, Dexter Park, which I was a half a block from. And they, one of the great semi-pro teams and all the black teams, at that time, they couldn't play in the major leagues. They all played at that park. So we would sneak into that park occasionally and play baseball and get thrown out eventually. But, it was, we always had, every game was like the World Series. I mean, punch ball or whatever game it was. We played it all, and it was great. I loved my childhood.
Me
It was
too.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Veronica, I
Not
want
like
to
today.
share with
Today's a little
you
more complicated.
in 1982, I broke my ankle at Glen Cove High School sliding into home plate. And that was back in the day where, they told you to walk to the bench and just wait the game out. It was the first inning. And it was a scrimmage. It wasn't even during the season. And I sat on the bench with a trimalleolar fracture from the first inning until the game was over. I guess I was in shock, but they were very nice at the high school. And then I had to take the bus back to my school. I went to Clark in Westbury, and then my mother had to pick me up and take me to the hospital. But anyway, that was my my claim to fame in Glen Cove, though. That was in 1982 when I was a senior. So I graduated on crutches. So I got a good cheer. I don't know if my cheer would have been that big if I just walked down just like Rebecca, But
the question is, did you make the run or did you get out?
Here's the thing.
Uh-oh.
I got to first base. We were winning. It was like 22-0. It was back in the day where there was no cap on runs, and I struck out, but the catcher dropped the ball, so I got to run to first base. They overthrew it. They overthrew it all the way, and third base came and they overthrew it. My coach is like, "Just go and slide," and I was like, "Slide? Why am I going to slide?" I did not like sliding. There was something about that coordination, and I went down, and I to this day, I don't even know if I was safe or not. I think that the ump heard my ankle crack, and everyone was just like, "Okay." So I'm going to say I was safe.
Go with it. No,
I think it's your story.
checking.
I think you're allowed to end it the way you
That's
want.
your story, and you're going to stick to it.
That's right.
I'm
That's it.
sticking to that one. But
that makes me think of something. We're so aware now of injuries, especially, and I'm thinking especially to the head, right?
Yes.
Of making sure that they get the proper treatment. Back then, I feel like you could get a concussion and you would be put back in the game.
Oh yeah, right.
Right.
And then you're back,
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Totally different time. But so what's happening in your district? You're like I said, you're always at every event and just always there with the residents, and you're always listening and implementing. And so what are some of your favorite things that are going on now in your district or in the town?
So it's spring, and spring means I am outdoors as much as possible. Literally outdoors is my happy space, probably because of the way I grew up. And it really works well with my environmental focus. I really want our initiatives to be prioritizing environmental matters. I really enjoy working on that. I think it's so important for our planet, for our communities, for our residents. I just did a whole bunch of Earth Day cleanups with Temple Bethel at Whitney Pond Park, with the Norgate community here in Manhasset, with the Manhasset Chamber of Commerce cleaning up Plandome Road. It's such a nice way for communities and residents and organizations to get together to make a difference, and our parks look better and our streets look better. So that's something that I really love doing. And as part of that too, because Earth Day and Arbor Day were so close this year, and they always are, but I don't know if they're always a week. I didn't figure that out yet, but we did some tree plantings. I don't know if you recall last year, I spent a lot of time when not dealing with other matters, passing with my town board, the tree legislation to be more protective of the trees and hopefully grow our tree canopy. So whenever there's an opportunity to plant the tree, I am there. But going forward, there is something very exciting moving away from trees, moving towards water. One of the first things that I did when I came to town was organize a group of water health advocates in Great Neck to meet at Lockheed Martin and hear about their cleanup of a plume that had been left there from Northrop Grumman. And so continuing on that work from before I was in office, when I was just a community advocate, there is going to be, I'm going to be chairing a panel discussion called Under Our Feet, the Resiliency of Our Drinking Water, which is a really important topic right now. A lot of people don't know that our water comes from beneath our feet. You know, I did a Facebook post lately asking people, you know, where do you think our water comes from? Does it come from the Ashokan, you know, aquifer upstate? Does it come from New York City? Where does it come from? And the answer is it comes from under our feet. So we really need to be focusing on quality of our water and the quantity too, because if we overuse it, then there will be negative repercussions. We will get something called saltwater intrusion, and there'll be less and less of it.
You know,
So
when you
that's
say, I'm sorry, but when you say it comes from under our feet, I have to tell you that I don't know completely what that means. Like, is there just a bunch of water laying around under there, or are there pipes, or, you know, how'd the water get there in the first place?
That's a great, great question. And I think, Otto, you should put May 17th at 7 p.m. into your calendar. That's
I
the
actually
day.
have the,
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. Because Dr. Sarah Mayland, she is an associate professor of environmental technology and sustainability at NYIT, and she's a founder of Water for Long Island. She's going to be giving us all an Aquifer 101 lesson. And it's going to teach us how the water got there, where exactly it is. It's not, in some instances, the water table is pretty high. I know that because there were some people who were building in my area in the village of Kensington, and they couldn't dig a basement as deep as they wanted because they already hit the water table. But in other instances, it's hundreds of feet below the ground. And why that is has to do with the geology of the area. But I'm sure Sarah will be able to explain it in much better detail.
So that's
Kensington
me.
is Brian Morris. Veronica, is there a guy, Brian Morris, in Kensington?
Not involved in this panel, no.
No, okay.
Yeah, in this panel, it's going to be made up. It's a really great panel. It's Sam Adler. He's a Town of North Hempstead middle school student, dedicated to water conservation in the community. He actually started this as his bar mitzvah project, and just has been such a good advocate, so articulate and smart, that he's, you know, continuing, which is fantastic. Our next generation is the one who's going to have to really take up the mantle and make sure that the programs we put in place now are even improved on. We're also going to be joined by Mindy Germain. Many people know her. She's commissioner of the Port Washington Water District and the lead organizer of the Western Nassau County Aquifer Committee. She's going to be discussing this issue of water resiliency from the point of view of a water supplier's perspective, right? Like, how do we reduce our need to pump water from the aquifers? And finally, Megan Festuca, Town of North Hempstead, sustainability and environmental specialist. She's going to be talking about what the town does, what kind of educational and other programs we have to help residents conserve.
It's
I
wonderful.
think it's going to be a great, really great program.
You know, I can't help but think about Saturday, I saw you at Spring Festival and Clark Gardens, and how absolutely beautiful, you know, that is. and just what it needs, to keep it in such beautiful
Yes.
condition.
Yes, yes, absolutely. I think our town horticulturalist planted, I can't remember the number. I'm not really good with numbers, but I think 3,000 tulips last fall to make sure that we had a tulip explosion, right? It was amazing, Rebecca, right?
It was amazing. And you know what else? I walked around the little pond and there was about half a dozen turtles, all different sizes, sunning themselves on this log. I took so many pictures. It was just so beautiful to see. And we don't want to lose that. We want to keep this nature going. And it's just when you take care of the earth and our planet, we have the most magnificent nature,
Yes.
and right here on Long Island. I mean, in my backyard lately, I'm even noticing, because I think during COVID, there was less planes, less traffic, less pollutants, and it just seemed to really help, our environment. Even my backyard, I live in Farmingdale. I have so many birds landing in my backyard and all that. Unfortunately, we have to take a break. Veronica, maybe you'll stay for a few minutes if you can. You're listening to Project Independence in You on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. We were speaking with Councilwoman Veronica Lurvey. We will be right back.
So I get this call from my grandma, and she's like,
"What's a podcast and how much does it cost?"
So I tell her, podcasts are like radio shows, but you can download them on any device and listen to them anywhere at any time, and they're free. And then she says,
"I see, but where can you find good ones?"
And I'm like, go to wcwp.org/podcast and check out the lineup of original shows, or download any podcast app on your phone or tablet and search for LIU Studios. And she's all like,
"Oh, that sounds easy."
And then she asked me what an app is.
LIU Studios podcasts, available on any podcast app. You know, those little button things on your phone screen. Just ask your grandkids.
Oh, welcome back to Project Independence in You on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org, Community Talk Radio. We are in the Talk of the Town segment now with Kristina Lou and, of course, Otto Los and Councilwoman Veronica Lurvey, who's agreed to stay on. And, we're just talking about everything in the town. Kristina is going to share what's going on. And Veronica, whenever you want to just hop in and let us know what's happening with you, we're just happy to have you on and learning all kinds of things about the town. So, Kristina, what is going on?
I mean, I'm just really taking in this whole show. It's just, and it all kind of, goes together. Obviously, our first guest, Carrie Atkins, it was such a pleasure to have, our first international guest, and I knew she would be fabulous through our pre-interviews, and her message is so aligned with kind of our message,
right?
With Project Independence. I was saying to Beck, she was talking about mindfulness and just positivity and creativity, and I just love the whole concept of it's kind of for all ages, the Drums Alive program, and the fact that you can kind of use whatever you have around the house, is just amazing. But I just was blown away, and I hope in the future we'll be able to kind of do some kind of programming with her. Because I just think it just sounded so fun, and just her mindful, and then mindfulness, and then with Veronica in the environment, it's really something that goes into all of daily life, and I was sitting back listening to you guys talking about just the wildlife that we've been seeing, and I remember I go to Montauk with my family every year. And, since COVID, we saw so many dolphins and whales in the ocean,
amazing.
And we were like, oh my God, it was so magical, because it's so rare to really just see just so many. And I think, it's important, we take for granted a lot of times, just, oh, we have water. Yeah, we have water. It's just kind of there. You just assume water is there. But I think North Hempstead does such a good job of really educating with all these programs and initiatives. We were laughing earlier in the show before it started, because Dan was like, wasn't, Councilwoman Lurvey on talking about goats once? And it was, But it's like,
Yes.
these interesting programs with the goats and the poison ivy, and then the bats, getting taken care of, the mosquitoes and the quails and the ticks, it's all these really interesting kind of out of the box ways to preserve the North Hempstead community, which has so many parks, and you want to keep that. So it's just, I think it's just so incredible that we have these interesting things. And I was sitting there too, like, you think about it, it's like, what under your feet, like, what does that mean with the water? And I think it's so important to learn about these things and to really put into perspective, pouring certain things into the ground, can affect that. And you don't even think sometimes. So it's definitely, I encourage everyone to, and it's a virtual workshop.
Correct.
Flyer,
Yes.
so you could always just call 311 or 516-869-6311 to get more information on that program too, because
Well, I
so
think as far as environment goes, we as a society pretty much take a lot for granted.
of course, yeah, I think about
You
it all
know,
the time.
and in terms of water as well. Yeah, I see people with sprinklers on and it's raining out. Do
Right.
you really need to do that? Maybe you don't need to use the automatic programming thing.
That's a really, really good point, because right now in spring, a lot of people are turning on their sprinkler systems, right? Either you do it yourself or you have a company come and turn on your sprinkler system. Maybe we should all remember to ask them to check the rainfall gauge, because my sprinkler system has a rainfall gauge. When there's enough, rainfall, it's not supposed to go on. I admit I haven't checked it in a while. So Otto, I'm going to make sure that it's checked.
When it's raining, you better sit out there with an umbrella on.
Yeah.
No, but I think, if everyone did, something little, it really goes a long way, these small kind of acts and being mindful of these certain things. Rebecca and I had hosted a segment a couple of months ago, with the Town North Hempstead Swama talking about recycling. And Rebecca and I, we think, we kind of had it on lock, the whole recycling process, and then just learning about the specifics and what happens with it, and the certain things that can and can't be, recycled. And it was just such an informative segment. I remember Rebecca and I were like, this is just, and it's things that I utilize in my daily life now, and I tell people.
Right. Me too.
Yeah. So it's just, it's important, to educate yourself and to talk about these things, because
I changed the way that I had to recycle, because like sometimes, when you have something that's wrapped in plastic and it's recycled plastic, it has a little, and you put it in your recycle bin. But what happens is that plastic, those, are so strong that they break the machines. They stop the machines from breaking it down. So they don't want you to put that in there. It's just, and it's just more, even though it is recyclable, there is a downside. So you listen, and, we did learn a lot. That was my,
what always sticks with me too. It's like, because Rebecca and I, and I'll give it to you, we were very proud of our contribution with all the Amazon cardboard boxes that we, recycle, especially during the pandemic, that it actually, the town is able to get money for the cardboard.
right.
So it was, we thought we were doing our part, we'll stick with that. That's what I tell my husband, at least. But I just think, and then I always think, that the pizza box is not recyclable because it's dirty inside. Because of all the oil and grease, it can't properly, and I always thought, all right, it's cardboard, it goes with the cardboard. But it has all that food particles in it, and it, that contaminates the whole thing. And it's just really important, when you're going to throw out something glass, you really need to rinse it out, because having food residue left in it kind of contaminates the whole, load, which I think, it was just these little tips and tricks. And I just think it's important to pick it up, what I'm saying, just doing these little things that Rebecca and I, we say we do in our lives now. It goes, certainly goes a long way. If everyone kind of did a little something, I think,
Well,
You didn't know.
Veronica mentioned being on Plandome Road and doing these cleanups. And the problem I have is, why does it get like that in the first place? Why can't people just put garbage in the garbage can, or like I was taught years ago, put it in your pocket until you get somewhere where you can dump it? We really shouldn't have to clean up after anybody. If everybody did their thing, the world would be a little cleaner, and you wouldn't have so much junk laying around. there's no
Sure.
reason for it. Throwing stuff out of the car window or, why, you're just lazy. That's why, to be blunt about it.
I'm still amazed that people do it. It's so like, did that guy just throw something out his window? I mean, can he wait till he gets home or gets out of the car and just throw it in a garbage? Like, it's so bizarre to me that people do it. So that they still do it.
Well,
Yeah.
somebody has to clean up after them. Basically clean up
Yeah.
after yourself is what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and I think it's important, these, and 'cause especially during the pandemic, we've talked about this before, unfortunately you see so many masks and gloves kind of thrown around, the environment. And you think about that, Otto, as you pointed out, someone has to clean up and, they shouldn't have to touch your dirty mask and gloves. The point of those things is to protect people from, so the fact that you're not disposing that properly in the garbage is just, not okay.
And we try to make sure through the town that there are enough garbage cans.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
just not too long ago, somebody said, there's a Carvel and there's all this trash in front of the Carvel. And we said, hey, we need a new trash can, right? So we're trying to make sure that there's no excuse.
Yeah, and plus,
In
and
the
that's
right
just like a
places.
little initiative, just doing something like that, can, eliminate, so much garbage. So I think there's little things that everyone can kind of do in the community to make it, a cleaner place.
I was just going to say, going back to kind of what's happening around us, because during the pandemic, there was so much less pollution. There is so much proof there that, if we do reduce emissions and if we, are more cognizant and aware and maybe car share and do all the things that, is out there, we can experience these things that, we should have anyway. I mean, I have birds in my backyard now. I have no idea what they are. I've never seen them before. Their beaks are bright. And I mean, it's really something wonderful that happened. I mean, from the pandemic, of course, I wish that didn't happen, but and I think everybody, at least on Long Island that I talk to, has experienced some kind of like more nature happening around us.
I know, I feel like a Disney princess. My mom always says I walk out of, it's like I was walking to my car the other day and there was two little bunny rabbits like on either side of my path, like the birds were chirping. I really thought I was going to break out, in song. But, we laugh, but it's such a beautiful thing. And no matter how many times, I see a cardinal in my yard, it still takes my breath away, so you just
joyful.
want to keep that.
Yeah.
Yes.
But Pat, did you see 60 Minutes by chance last Sunday? Did you realize that birds aren't real? Did you hear that one at all?
That's a sticker on a stop sign by my house.
Look it up on CBS and watch I think it's a 13-minute segment. It is quite an interesting
It
thing.
is interesting because it's an interesting movement, actually.
There's
that's
a
behind
movement
it.
that birds aren't real. 12 billion birds were bumped off because some birds pooped on the CIA's car. So they decided to eliminate 12 billion birds and replace them with robotic birds.
Birds, right.
That's right.
It's
There's
really
something for
good.
everyone. But
the
in the
robotic
spirit-
birds in my backyard are still beautiful.
Yeah, that's right. Just robots or not, we'll take them. But also in North Hempstead, we have at Clark Botanic Garden, which we had mentioned, is doing seasons in the garden. So there's a whole bunch of workshops that are going to be coming up, and it kicks off on Sunday, May 15th. There's planting a bog garden, which sounds really interesting. I don't know what that is, and it's a hands-on workshop, and it's just very interesting. So I've never heard of a bog garden. That's one of the classes. Then on June 12th, there's Planting with Nature. On July 17th, there's native plants in your garden planting, which I think is amazing because certain plants that you use, I'm married to a landscape designer, so it's kind of our thing, that there's, native plants that can really benefit the whole garden.
Oh, Kristina, I have to interrupt you. I'm
Yes.
so sorry.
Yeah.
But I want to make sure that the listeners know that rebates are being offered by the town to encourage the planting of native plants. So I don't know if you already had that on your list.
That's
or
right.
not.
I saw that press release and I thought that was great because
Awesome.
yeah,
But
they're
I wanted-
able to. Yeah.
Up to
actually, I have that on my,
$350.
Yeah, I have it on my list too, and I was hoping you could elaborate a little bit about what does that really mean? What is it?
Well, the town received $10,000 from Nassau County Soil and Water Conservation District. And eligible residents can get up to $350 for the purchase of native plants. Now, there is some information that you'll have to collect and include with your application, like proposed garden location, estimated budget, the plant species that are chosen, photos of the proposed planting location, and a basic garden layout. But if you're already planting, you should really have all of that sort of in mind.
Absolutely.
So hopefully it's pretty easy to do.
Is
And
the idea to replace grass or?
well, you could if you wanted to. That's
I
a
think
little
it's
bit
just, it's
more
like plants, you know,
complicated.
it's a whole, like whatever is in your garden, you know, if you have a little garden of different, there's all different plants that qualify as native, you know,
That helps
plants.
pollinate with.
Yeah, yep, exactly.
So
And who
native
doesn't want
plants
to
will
see
help.
butterflies?
I'm so sorry, Christina. You're married to the landscape designer, so you know
Well,
all
I
of it.
remember, Veronica, I remember that you had a whole vegetable garden, which I remember we talked about.
Yep.
Which was interesting. So these are all wonderful things, and the fact that the town is has a rebate program for it is really, you know, as we said, if you're doing it already, why not, you know, get a rebate for that?
And
Right.
just want to put out there that today's date is May 6, 2022. So if you're listening to this recorded, you know, the rebate may have already been utilized. So just to be aware that what today's date is. But if you're hearing this pretty soon after this show, you know, you can call 311
Absolutely.
Good point.
869-6311.
That's right. Perfect. And then just some other programs that will be offered at Clark Botanic Garden are planting and a cutting garden, the Beauty of Fall Garden, which is, you know, that's going to be into the fall. We don't want to think about fall just
No.
yet. All workshops are $10 per person, and the proceeds go to the Fanny Dwight Clark Memorial Garden, which really helps preserve the beautiful Clark Gardens that we all know and love. So
Yeah.
I just think these are really fun different programs that people can do. And then today, because we all know if you are listening to this live, as Rebecca had pointed out, Mother's Day is this weekend, and there is going to be a spring plant sale over at Clark Botanic Garden, which is going to be today and tomorrow from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and today, and then tomorrow 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And there's annuals, perennials, herbs, veggies, hanging baskets, trees and shrubs. And then, which is also nice, Rebecca, there is jewelry and accessories, which, you know, we might hit up in addition to the plants. An art show, refreshment stand, a garden gift shop, raffles, a farm stand. So that, once again, is at Clark Garden. It's cash or check only. Admission is free, and it's rain or shine. So it's just a great reason. You know, I love the gift. That's been my thing, is to give plants to people for different reasons. You know, my husband and I have like house plants everywhere because that's kind of been my new thing. So it's I just think it's such a lovely gift to give someone, and especially your mom. So check that out, and it just it goes to a great cause too. So that is over there. It is also May, so that means it is Older American Month, which is definitely a reason to celebrate over a Project Independence, because this year's theme, excuse me, is Age My Way, and it's all about just aging how you want to age independently. So clearly, I think they've been watching, Rebecca, Project Independence, because it's just a great initiative. It's all about planning and engagement and access to age at home. So it's if you want to learn more about that, you can go to acl.gov, or it is in our Project Independence May 2022 newsletter. If you are not getting that and you would like to, you just call 311 and we will put you on the list. And that comes out monthly with all kinds of events, not just Project Independence, but everything in the town. I feel like it just gets longer and longer. All the, you know, it's quite a jam-packed newsletter with so much great information. So much great information that the Port Washington Calendar actually reached out to me asking if they could also share some of our events in their calendar newsletter, which I said, of course. I said, let's get the word out with all these wonderful programs that are going on. Um, we have the St. Francis cardiac screening van is making its way around the town, and in May there's a bunch of dates. The next one is coming up Tuesday, May 10th. That is going to be at the Great Neck Social Center. And then May 18th, it's at Magnolia Gardens. And May 24th, it's at Fusillo Park. It's always from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And you don't need to make a registration, which I love. You can just show up, which is just the best part. And it's beautiful. The van, you may be seeing the commercial that is on North Hempstead TV, a great little promo commercial showing the van has been recorded, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful van, and it's just great resources, and you can get free screenings, cardiac screenings. So definitely check that out if you are in the region of that, and it's going all around the town. Every month it'll be in all different locations, but that is over there. We have our Blankets of Love group. If you are a talented quilter, Veronica, I don't know if you've seen the beautiful blankets that these
I
women
have
do.
beautiful.
They are just absolutely breathtaking, and they do them so fast. You know, Rebecca and I have the pleasure of seeing them on Tuesdays come in, and the group is now up to 30-something members. And they are just, I said, they could really have a business with how beautiful these blankets are. And they go to amazing causes. They make little baby hats. I mean, it's just absolutely adorable. So that group meets on Tuesdays at Clingy Martin Park at 1 p.m. If you're interested in that, you could always just call 311. We also have our caregiver support group is still meeting via Zoom, which is just such a wonderful group. If you are caring for your spouse, it's a great group. And, you know, speaking of technology, we always say the fact that got moved to Zoom during the pandemic was actually beneficial for the caregivers, because they couldn't leave the homes that easily. So, you know, now they're able to really participate each week into
Right,
another
and
room.
continue with it.
The support they give each other is just incredible.
Well, we have to take a quick break. You're listening to Project Independence in You. We want to thank, of course, Councilwoman Veronica Lurvey for joining us today and giving us so much information and being part of our talk of the town. We will be right back with Project Independence in You.
WCWP is your home for great music and great conversation. You'll find all that and more on WCWP.org. Listen live on the web, check out the lineup, subscribe to podcasts, and stay up to date on the latest station events. Get in touch with us and let us know if you like what you're hearing. And find out how you can support or get involved at the only community public radio station serving Nassau's North Shore. Plus, sign up to get a free bumper sticker. It's all online at WCWP.org.
Welcome back to Project Independence in You on 88.1 FM, WCWP.org, Community Talk Radio. Part of your host team today, Rebecca Miller, along with Otto Los, and of course, Kristina Lou, who is the radio show producer, pulls the shows together every week, fabulous guests, and also runs the Talk of the Town segment and just knows everything that's going on in the town. And of course, just always a shout out to Dan Cox, who director of the radio station and puts up with us every week and makes us look good. Of course, Kristina really does make us look good, but we had a great guest earlier today, our first international guest, Carrie Jean Ekins, and really an interesting person and just all around a founder and the CEO of Drums Alive. So I know she's going to be like, what happens with these great guests is they just become part of the Project Independence family. And now we're being joined again with Councilwoman Veronica Lurvey. She's been with us throughout Talk of the Town, and why not? You have so much information and doing such wonderful things in the town. But I know, Kristina, you've got some more talk.
Yeah, we have a lot of stuff going on in North Hempstead. I want to remind people that next week's show, May 13th, we have on Sharnora Simon, who is from the Helen Keller Services for the Blind and Deaf, which is a great organization over in Port Washington. So she's going to be on talking about all the services that they provide over there. On May 20th, we have on General Security that is going to discuss the wellness safety technology for seniors. This has certainly been a topic we've talked a lot about, whether, we're discussing Alexa and its benefits. Oh, I should whisper Alexa. We don't want that to set off
We don't want
anyone's.
Otto's Alexa to start up again.
We don't want to set off anyone's Alexa that might be going on. But there's so much technology that really helps people age in place. And then on May 27th, we have on the Transition Network, which is a great organization of women 50 plus who are just kind of in that transitional space from retirement to figuring out what they want to do. Barbara Melman, who is our technology for the terrified guru over at Project Independence, is part of this organization. So she will be on as well with the chapter chair. So I'm interested to learn about that organization as well. So
I didn't even know about this. I didn't even know about this. This is amazing.
I just learned about it because Barbara reached out to me and said that she wanted to go, and I said absolutely. Sounds like a great organization. So, Councilwoman, you'll have to tune in and check it out. But if you miss it, this is what I want to remind it. If people are unable to listen live, all of our shows are archived on the Project Independence website. So you can just go there. We have all the YouTube links. You could also just go directly to YouTube to WCWP's studio page. And that has all of the links to the shows that you may have missed, because there's so much information, and I cannot encourage you enough to listen to it. We sit here every week, and we're fortunate to just get all these golden nuggets that we love to say every week. Just such wonderful things are going on just right here in our community, which is really great. So definitely check that out. And then we have an exciting event coming up, is the Asian American Festival. It's going to be on Saturday, May 14th from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. Asian American Festival is always one of the most incredible events in North Hempstead because there's cultural performances, there's food, there's a market. I always think of many, many years ago, I picked up this beautiful scarf that had cherry blossoms on it, and I still to this day wear it all the time. It was I think all of us ended up walking away with a scarf. I remember I got a robe once, a silk robe. So there's really exciting things. So these are the things that stick out in my mind, and it's all different countries are involved. It's Afghanistan, China, India, Japan, Korea, Pakistan, the Philippines. It's just it's just a beautiful, beautiful reason to celebrate, and it's at North Hempstead Beach Park, which is another beautiful facility in North Hempstead. The parking fee is $10 cash, $7 credit card. So I just want people to be aware of that, but that's the only fee for the event. And Beck, I believe we are still looking for volunteers. If anyone is interested.
People, if you're interested at all, you can call 311 or 516-869-6311. So we're always encouraging people to also program in their phone the 7-digit number along with the area code, just in case you're out of the area and you have some information you need to reach out to 311. So that's 516-869-6311, and you will definitely be put in touch with somebody regarding volunteering that day, because it's a busy day. There's a lot going on, and volunteers are so much appreciated. I think we had a record number of volunteers on Springfest. We had almost 35 volunteers.
Wow.
And I would say about 30 had registered, maybe even 25. And then that day alone, people kept coming in, and, we put them to work because it was a busy day. We had so much going on. So thank you to all of our town volunteers that ranged in age,
And that's what I was just going to say, which I think is great. So you could,
range
all
of
ages can register.
Right.
Volunteer.
Any age is fine.
That's great. I like that. So definitely check out that event because that is certainly a stunning event. We also have our Golden Hearts Bingo, which is bingo and blood pressure screenings. That is certainly growing. It's been going on for a couple of months now, and that's over at the Roslyn Community Center, and it meets on Thursdays at 11 a.m. And it's a fun day, and the fact that you get to meet with the social worker and the nurse that facilitate the program is a great way to have a little fun and to, find out about everything that's offered through Project Independence as well. And you can get your blood pressure checked.
Well,
And you
having
should
been at
also-
bingo, a lot of times, a lot of people's blood pressure goes up when they
That's right.
do bingo.
That's right.
You
You,
know,
and it's a good test. You could do it before and after and see how it gauges
they
with
handle
activity.
multiple
So
cards and,
that's right. It gets intense. I mean, I see some of the prizes. It's certainly quite the program. Our social discussion group is still meeting virtually, and that's on Thursdays at 11:30 a.m. So if you're interested in joining that, you are more than welcome to join that. And I just want to give a little sidebar, which made me think of it with the social discussion group. One of our beloved members, Joan Ortiz, who was a member with Project Independence since the beginning, unfortunately had passed away a few weeks ago. So we want to just give love to her and her family, and just the contributions that she did. I mean, she was a staple in so many of our programs.
Every program. She was on every program, every Zoom. She was a champion on all of them. I mean,
Absolutely. She was one of the first people who really embraced. I'll never forget when we started with everything went virtual, and we were trying to get everyone connected. And I remember Joan was the first senior to change her background.
Yes.
And we were all so impressed. We were like, look at this. It's like a fun little background. So Joan was such a staple with Project Independence. She would send so many suggestions. We always say our advisory committee members are just as important of the puzzle as the staff and the town board.
Of course,
making
100%.
programs.
Yes.
They help gear
a
programs.
very brief description is she was very actively engaged in the program.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
When she was there, she was engaged in what she was doing. She wasn't
Absolutely.
just there.
No, and it's just I think back to when I was just an intern, and the NORC was just there, and she was at those advisories, Otto, with you there, and it was just such a building stepping stone to Project Independence. So just again wanted to just send my love to her whole family.
And just one other comment: when she first joined Project Independence as a member, and she was an original, she was skeptical of this program, and who could blame her? So strange to have a town engaging in senior services and human services in this NORC type of practice. And I remember her saying, she goes, this isn't going to last. Like she said, this can't all these services that we were telling them we're going to provide or connect.
Right, you thought there was a catch or something.
She said this isn't going to last. And 17 years later, she was she was everywhere. She believed in us, and she was smart, and she will surely be missed. Absolutely. And again, like you were saying, all of our blessings to her family.
Well, she was an example of somebody who had some physical limitations, who didn't let that stop her.
No, never.
She would get there no matter what.
If it was on Zoom, she got there. Right.
Or in person, if it were doable.
Yeah, absolutely. Good point. And just to segue from that is, speaking of advisory committees, and just how important it is, and to just to hear from our residents, I encourage people to join an advisory committee. You don't have to come every month. We're still offering them via Zoom and in person, which I think is really is great, because a lot of people, as you had mentioned, might not be able to get out for various reasons. So the next meeting is May 18th, and that is going to be at John D. Camera Park in Albertson, which is another beautiful facility in the town. And that's going to be at 10 a.m. And we're going to have a special guest presenter from Zucker Hillside Hospital talking about Northwell Health's Alzheimer's Disease Research Center, which provides a lot of great services in the town. We're going to also have them on the radio show in the future to discuss the center as well. So if you are interested in participating on Zoom or in person, you can just call 311 or 516-869-6311, because it's a great way to kind of get information on top of the speakers. A lot of our town board shows up and shares what's going on, and we really just have a discussion, and concerns are brought, to our attention, or things to follow up on, and we talk about Project Independence programs, and it's just a great.
And we listen. We get our best programs from our residents who make the most amazing suggestions. Let's talk a little bit about what's happening this summer. I know, Councilwoman Lurvey is very excited for Fun Day Monday to start.
Oh, definitely. But before I say anything about Fun Day Monday, just back about the advisory council and Joan, and condolences to her family. Thank you, for everything that she did for all of us. But we get, I think, Rebecca, you said it perfectly. We get our ideas and we get our passion from our residents, right? It's the people in the town of North Hempstead that make it such a wonderful place to live. I couldn't come up with the ideas that have been put in place, right? None of us could have come up with those ideas. And definitely, even if we had the idea, we couldn't put it in place. So I want to thank all the volunteers, all the people who come to our advisory meetings. They're actually kind of fun. We talk and we learn, and we're together. And it's so important for us to just be together working on such good programs. You walk away with feeling good about life. And, that's so important. So to move on to summer, it's around the corner.
Crazy.
And I know we're all excited for the return of Fun Day Monday. I am so excited. It's like the best part of the summer for an elected official, because you're out there, the wind is blowing, you smell the bay, and it doesn't smell bad. It smells really good. The salt water, there's something about it. Maybe it's growing up in Glen Cove. There's something about it that just makes me feel this is summer.
Absolutely. And Rebecca, I think there's a bunch of bands and musical entertainment that will be at Fun Day Monday.
Oh, absolutely. So the town's kicking it off on Monday, July 11th, and it's held every Monday during the summer. There will be a health fair on July 25th. And the final event will be our very special salute to our armed forces on August 22nd, 2 days before my birthday. So maybe I'll bring cupcakes for everybody.
We'll have to put that, remember that one, Kristina.
That's right. Mark it down.
And and the other special thing about Fun Day Monday in 2022 is, though last year we had a few Fun Day Mondays, but it was so reduced, and we didn't have our cafe, and we weren't able to do all our usual things, and we only had 4 planned and 2 were rained out. So, or 1 was heated out.
Heated out.
Heated out, that's right.
Yeah.
And so this is it. We've got 7, like Veronica was saying, and rain dates. So if it rains on that Monday, we are there that Thursday. And, any information, we have a lot, like Kristina was saying, we have wonderful bands. We've got, our usual, we're going to have a Beatles band come.
Oh, fun.
Elvis coming. We've got an Elvis and Frank Sinatra duo. They've worked together in the past. It's going to be just so much fun and dancing, and we're going to have fitness classes, of course. There's going to be walking tours. There's going to be the cafe again. It's just going to be, it's going to feel like home again. Like Veronica was saying, there's something about it. It's just going to be home, and everybody can have, or people can just kind of socialize on their own. They're there, and we have these options for people. If you want to join in on everything, one thing or nothing, it's just back to,
you can bring your mahjong, right? You can bring your mahjong set. There's a lot of mahjong going on.
A lot of mahjong.
Veronica, in the past, there was a lot of talk about enhancements to the town of North Hempstead Beach Park. Where is that going now? Is that still in the cards? And
it's absolutely in the cards. The town just got, I believe, $1 million from Congressman Suozzi, and maybe $5 million from Senator Anna Kaplan, to continue to fund our progress towards the vision. I mean, Otto, I think you remember under Judy Bosworth, there was a lot of visioning done, and that's definitely moving forward for sure. It's just something that takes a little bit of time. These kinds of massive capital projects take a little bit of time.
great to know. I can't believe our program is over for the day. I just have to thank Kristina. Great show, great guest. Otto, thank you as usual. Dan and Councilwoman Lurvey, thank you for staying on with us during Talk of the Town. That was a
How
lot
could I
of fun.
go? How could I go? You guys, I can always count on you to provide interesting conversation. So I couldn't leave.
Great way to end the program. So have a safe week, everyone, and tune in next week for another great Project Independence and You.